Hello and welcome to Short Story Scene. I'm your host, the storyteller, and here we have a tale called Inferno by Dante Alighieri. Canto 20. Of the new pain that behooves me to make verses and give material to the 12th canto of the first song, which is of the submerged, I was already thoroughly disposed to peer down to the uncovered depth, which bathed itself with tears of agony. The people saw I through the circular valley, silent and weeping, coming to a pace which in the world of Lutanes assume, and the lower down may sight descended on them. Wondrously each one seemed to be distorted, from chin to the beginning of the chest. Oh, towards the reins of the countenance was turned, and backward it behooved them to advance, as to look forward had been taken from them. Perchance, indeed, by violence of palsies. Someone had been thou wholly turned weary, and I never saw nor believed it can, as God may let thee, reader, gather fruit from this thy reader. Think now for thyself how I could ever keep my face unmoistened, when our own image near me I beheld, distorted so the weeping of the eyes. Along the fissure bathed the hindered parts. Truly I wept, leaning upon the peak of the hard crag, so that my escort said to me, Art thou too of the other fools? Here pity lies when it is wholly dead. Who is greater reprobate than he? He feels compassion at the doom divine. Lift up thy head, and see for whom opened the earth before the Thebians' eyes. Wherefore they all cried, Whence rushest thou, and furious? Why dost thou leave the war? And downward ceased he not to fall amain, as far as Minos, who lays hold on all. See, he has made the bosom of his shoulders, because he wishes to see too far before him. Behind the looks, backwards goes his way. Behold Tiresias, who is semblance changed, when from the male to a female he became, and his members being all of them transformed, and afterwards was forced to strike once more in the two entangled serpents with his rod, ere he could have again his manly plumes. That Ares is who backs the other belly, who is in the hills of Luni. There were grubs and caryasses and houses underneath. Among the marbles white of cavern had for his abode, whence behold the stars and the sea. The view was not cut off from him, and she's there who is covering up her breasts, which thou beholdest not, with loosened tresses, and on the side has all the hairy skin, as Manto, who had the quiet quest through many lands, afterwards tarried there where I was born, whereof I had thus listed to me a little. After her father had from life departed, in the city Bacchus, and become enslaved, she a long season wandered through the world. Above the beauteous Italy lies a lake at the Alps' foot, and shuts in Germany over Tyrol, and has the name Beneco. By 1,000 springs, I think, and more, is bathed. Twixt Garda and Val Camonica, Pinino, was the waters grow stagnant in the lake. Midway the places where the Turinti pastor, and he is Brescia and Vernesi, might give his blessing, and he passed that way. Citus per Syria, fortress fair of strong, and to the front of Barricianes and the Barragay masks, and around about the bank descendeth lowest. There is necessity must fall whatever in the bosom of Beneco cannot stay, and grows the river down through the verdant pastures. So as soon as the water doth begin to run, no more Benico it is called, but Minicio, far for the Governo, where the falls in Po. Not far it runs before it finds a plain, and such it spreads itself and makes it marshy, and oft 'tis wont in the summer be too sickly. Passing that way in the virgin pitiless, and land in the middle of the fern descried, until the naked of inhabitants, there escapes all human intercourse. She with her servants stayed, her arts to practice, and lived, and left her empty body there. The men thereafter, who are scattered round, collected in the place which was made strong by the lagoon it had on every side, but built their city over those dead bones, and after her first the place selected, Mantio named it, without other omen. Its people once within more crowded, where ere stupidity of Castellodi from Penamount and received deceit. Therefore I caution thee, if ever thou hearest there originate my city, otherwise no falsehood may be ready defraud. And I, my master, thou discourses are to me so certain, and so take my faith, that unto me the rest would be spent coals. But tell me the people who are passing, if any one noteworthy thou beholdest, for only unto my mind reverts. Then said he to me, he who from the cheek thrust out the beard upon the swarthy shoulders, was at the time when Greece was void of males, so that the scarce remained one in the cradle. An augur and the Colchicans gave the moment an Aulus in the server of the first cable. Euphleus his name, and so sings my lofty tragedy, and some part or another, the knowest thou well, who knowest the whole of it. The next, who is so slender in the flanks, was Michael Scott, who of the variety of the magic illusions knew the game. Behold, Guido Banati beheld Astande, and now under the leather of his thread, who fain was struck, but he too late repents. Behold the wretched ones in the left of the needle and the spool of the rock that made them fortune tellers. They wrought their magic spells with herb and image, and came now and already holds the confines in both the hemispheres, and under Seville the torches of the ocean wave, Cain and the thorns, and the yesternight the moon was round already. Thou shouldest remember when it did not harm thee from time to time within the forest deep. Thus spake he to me, and we walked the while. That concludes our tale of Inferno by Dante Alighieri, Canto 20. If you like this content and like to support it, please head to Patreon. That is www.patreon.com/shortstoryscene. I'd like to thank Drac for being a patron, and thank you all for listening, and see you next episode. Bye.